Okay everybody, this is Mooney Dashcam. Tonight we're in Midtown Manhattan. We're going to be talking about the time Paul Castellano had his daughter's boyfriend murdered over a joke that he made about him, and how two families came together to get this all done. So let's flip this around and get into it. The address that we're going to is 308 East 53rd Street, like I said, in Midtown Manhattan. Don't forget to follow my Instagram. I post on there pretty much every single day. All the crime scene photos that cannot go on YouTube end up on Instagram, so check that out. Don't forget to leave suggestions for future videos in the comments. I appreciate that very much. Get a lot of inspiration that way. Also, hit the notification bell so you guys can see right away when I post a new video. Alright, let's start from the beginning with this. This all started when Gambino boss Paul Castellano's daughter, Connie, is watching TV with her boyfriend, Vito Borelli. A Purdue chicken ad comes up, and at the time, the spokesperson was Frank Purdue. And he had this kind of funny voice and whatever. And it's a good time to approach the street. So they're watching the commercial.
On my fresh Purdue chickens. Why buy a chicken you think is fresh when you buy a chicken you know is fresh?
And the guy Vito makes a joke saying that, hey, he kind of looks like your dad, Paul. Frank Purdue looks like Paul Castellano. That's what he's saying. I'm assuming that that's not the only insult that made this all happen, but that's the one that's noted in most of these stories about it. So this gets back to Paul Castellano, and he's so insulted, probably because it's true, they do look similar, that he wants Vito dead and he wants his body to not be found. Can you imagine? You want your daughter's boyfriend dead and his body to never turn up. So, Big Paul calls on acting Banana boss Sal Catalano for assistance. I don't exactly know why he didn't call upon people in his own family to do it, but that's how he went about it. Now, in efforts to get some points with Paul, Sal jumps to the opportunity. Since the Bananos at this time were not a part of the commission and they could not take on any new members, they couldn't make any people into their family, and it was smart for them to have the power of one of the most powerful bosses on their side. So Sal puts two of his best guys on it. Banano captains Joe Massino and Dominic Napolitano, Sonny Black, as he's more well known. Then a Banano soldier, Anthony Fat Tony Rubito, also known as Mr. Fish, not only called Vito to lure him into his death, but they also used his warehouse behind his cookie shop storefront to get this done. Now, to set this up, earlier in the day, a Banano associate, Dwayne Goldie Leisenheimer, however you pronounce that, steals a panel truck for them to use to transport the body after he's dead. Banano associate Sal Vitale and Gambino soldier John Corniglia, who we know very well, take the truck and they park it at the cookie shop to set up for this whole thing. Now, we're pulling up to the place now. We're going to make this last turn. Oh, we got stuck at the light. Now, when I'm giving you guys their status in the mafia at the time, their rank, I'm giving you what they were at the time this happened. So I know all these people have moved up, moved down, been killed, whatever, since this time, but this is their status at the time. So, when Vito Borelli shows up to the cookie shop, acting captain John Gotti and associate Joe Watts are there, along with Frank Deccico and Angelo Ruggiero. They're both soldiers of the Gambino crime family. Directly to the left here, this was 308 East 53rd Street. I believe this is a totally new building at this point. I'm going to pull up right behind this taxi that's parked. And of course, I'll hop out and walk around a little bit. Up the curb, up the curb, up the curb. I haven't went up the curb in a while in one of my videos. I had to do it. So this is the address. You have 310, which I said it was 308. And then over here, if you see in this parking garage, it says 304. So it's between these two addresses. I don't think this building was here. It's a little bit argued on when this went down. It's kind of been narrowed down to the fall of 1980, even though somebody testified and said it was 1975. Later on, he admitted himself that he was not good with dates. So generally, it's believed that it's fall of 1980 this went down. And then some people even narrowed it down to October of 1980 that this went down. So this is where we're at right now. So you have to wonder what this guy is thinking when he pulls up, gets into this place, and sees all these high-level gangsters standing around there. Obviously, he was accustomed to that life. His girlfriend's dad is the boss of the family, the most powerful family around at the time. Oh, say hi to the truck. Almost forgot that. So maybe he didn't even have enough time to see who was in there, but they say that John Gotti was the one who pulled the trigger, and he killed him, shooting him multiple times in the head and in the body. Some other reports say that Joe Watts was also a shooter because Joe Watts was there. So you could imagine that the panel truck they stole is parked right outside. Joe Massino comes out to start the thing, and it doesn't start. Now they need to use this thing to move the body. So Massino calls Sal Vitale and tells him that the stolen truck is not starting. So Sal's like, all right, I'll come by. I'll see if I get it started. We'll see if this all works out. So then he shows up, drives all the way to Manhattan to try and figure out what's wrong with the truck. He figures out that they're right. It's not going to start. So he offers up his own car. He's like, let's get this done. Load him into my car. So they take him, roll him up in a tan drop cloth, and put him in the trunk of Sal's car. And then Frankie Deccico gets in the car also, and some people say that Angelo Ruggiero got in the car as well. They take that car and they drive to South Ozone Park to a garage. Let's get in the truck and finish this off. They show up at this garage in South Ozone Park, Queens. When they get there, there's a whole nother crew waiting for them there to meet them. One of the people in the crew is Roy DeMeo, so you could imagine what their plans were for that body. They were probably going to cut it up, and it's presumed that it was cut up there and then dumped in the Fountain Avenue dump like Roy DeMeo always did. As Sal Vitale is unloading the body from his trunk, he clearly sees that the guy is Vito Borelli, and he notices all the gunshot wounds all over the guy's head and his body. So that was the end of that body. Probably is still to this day in the Fountain Avenue dump. That's now a park off the Belt Parkway. So here are a few other people that were involved in this that were not significant. A guy named James Episcopia. He was a Bonanno soldier. And then you have John Booby Sarasani, who was an associate. And then Massino and Sonny Black, they were all sitting outside together, and they were just lookouts for the whole entire thing. They weren't really involved in the murder. So I'm going through this and going, how many people are involved in this situation? It seems crazy. So I did a count. 14 people that I took note of were involved, and that's not even counting the possible members that were with Roy DeMeo when they pulled up at the garage. So let's be conservative and say Roy DeMeo had 3 guys with him. That's 17 people just to kill the boyfriend of Paul Castellano's daughter. A lot of the information we have on this is from Joe Massino cooperating, and we have some transcripts between him and whatever authorities he was talking to. So, it goes like this. what happened to Vito Borelli in the late 1970s? He goes, he got killed. Why? He was going out with Paul Castellano's daughter, and he was making a lot of fun at Paul Castellano. And they couldn't get Vito and Paul Castellano at that time. We had someone by the name of Sal Catalano. He was our acting boss in the Bonanno family. And Paul asked him for a favor. He was having a hard time, and he wanted Vito to be killed. Why was Vito to be killed? Just to be clear, he was making fun of Paul Castellano. Who was involved in the murder of Vito Borelli? Me, John Gotti, Angelo Ruggiero, Frank Deccico, Sonny Black, Booby, Anthony Rubino, and Sal Vitale. And who ordered the murder? Paul Castellano. What was your role with respect to the murder? I was just there. What do you mean by that? I was down the block. The day he was killed, the day he got murdered. What was John Gotti's role? He was the shooter. And just to be clear for the record, who was Paul Castellano at the time of the murder? He was the boss of the Gambino family. And what was John Gotti at this point in time? At that point, he was an acting captain of the Gambino family. Just to be clear for the record, are we speaking of John Gotti Sr.? Senior. And what position did John Gotti Sr. hold at a later time in life? I mean, I'm no English major, but like, that didn't seem correct. Official boss of the Gambino family. You also mentioned some other individuals involved in the murder. What was Sonny Black's role in the murder? Sonny Black was outside with Booby. What was Booby's role? Just there. Just to be clear, it's the same Sonny Black and the same Booby with which you were involved with stealing that truck? Yes. Now, you also mentioned a Frank Deccico. Who is Frank Deccico? Frank Deccico was a captain in the Gambino family. What was his role in the murder of Vito Borelli? He was there. What about Angelo Ruggiero? He was there. You mentioned Sal Vitale as well. Sal Vitale. What was his role in the murder? He brought his car, that's how he moved the body. Where was Vito Borelli killed? He was killed in Anthony Rubino had a storefront, chocolate cookies. He was killed. He was killed in the store. It's like a warehouse. Were you prosecuted for the murder of Vito Borelli? No, I wasn't. But you told the government about your involvement as part of your cooperation. Yes, I did. Outfit check, of course, since I made this part of the channel now. So it's not very often that we get transcripts like that on exactly what was said in a interview, interrogation, whatever that was transcribed. But it's cool to see. A lot of people say John Gotti never really killed anybody. Well, we know he killed James McBratney, and now we know he killed this guy because Joe Massino really has no reason to lie and say John Gotti was there and was the shooter. Doesn't make sense for him. It only comes back to bite him in the ass if he actually lied about it. Because when you cooperate, you tell them everything. You don't leave anything out. Because whatever you leave out and they go and find, you then get charged and arrested. I'm sure they throw the book at you for that situation. So, hope you guys enjoyed. If you didn't, that's cool too. I'll see you in the next one.